Last week, I had the worst run of my training block so far. 14 miles on the schedule, with the first 11 easy and the last 3 at marathon pace. Now, I finished the run, but I hated every minute of it. I could not keep pace. I could not find a rhythm. I couldn't even fake optimism. I blamed week 6 of marathon training, just the exhaustion, physical and mental, that comes with it, which was adorable because the very next day I was pummeled with sickness, like hit by a bus. As in, the bus then backed up just for good measure. Hey everyone, I'm Jess, and today let's talk about training when you're sick. What to look for, what to do, and why Kenny Rogers is the unexpected coach we all need. And yes, I'm going to sing. Consider yourself warned. So 2 days after that tragic 14-miler, I'm staring at my training plan. I had 6 miles, hill sprints, and a full body strength workout. And I'm having the classic runner debate: to run or not to run. The answer is never obvious because distance runners are delusional by nature, right? And then, out of nowhere, Kenny Rogers pops into my head. You know the line. You've got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. Okay, I know. Stick to running, right? But seriously, hear me out. Kenny basically wrote the rule book for training decisions when you're sick with that line. So there are 2 ways to determine what is going on. And that is 1, how you feel, and 2, what your body is actually doing behind the scenes. So feelings are obvious. That is the feeling of being off, having low energy or heaviness or brain fog, or the sense that your head might explode and your left eyeball will pop out. Or is that just me? But feelings don't always match reality and what is going on. And that's where your biometrics come in. So this is data that you get from a wearable, things like a Garmin or an Apple Watch, your Whoop, an Oura ring, or Fitbit, whatever. You're going to want to look at numbers for your heart rate variability, your resting heart rate, your sleep quality, or even your body temperature and your respiratory rate. Those final 2 will actually help you also know if there are hormonal changes or even illness brewing. So this data will tell you how your central nervous system and your immune system are actually handling your stress, like normal life stress, stressors like work, but also your training, how you're handling that, and also illness. And it can tell you whether it's coming on or if you're handling it okay. Now here's the really fun part. Your feelings and your numbers do not always agree. Sometimes you feel great while your metrics are waving caution flags. And sometimes you feel like you've been hit by a bus. And your numbers are like, hey, we're cool. We got this. Guess which one was me? So I was feeling pretty terrible with the bus and the head exploding thing and all that. But my metrics, surprisingly steady. There was really not much going on. My HRV was down a little bit. My resting heart rate, I think, went up just a couple of beats. My sleep score was slightly lower, but not notably so. And even my body temperature and my respiratory rate were pretty steady. I think the same as the night before. So my body wasn't in any danger. But I was clearly dealing with something. Something was going on. I felt something, but my body was saying, hey, we're handling this. And that's where Kenny came in. Now, of course, he's talking about poker and not running, but metaphorically in the song, he's really talking about reading the room and looking at all factors and making a decision that is good in the long run. So punny, right? So here is how we can apply the gambler to making good training decisions when we are sick. So first, you've got to know when to hold them. Now, there are times when we don't feel like running, when we feel slightly off, we just don't want to go out, or when nothing is really wrong. We may have the sniffles or some mild fatigue from a previous workout or run or something like that, but your metrics are stable and technically there's nothing wrong with you. Then you keep the run. You keep it honest, you don't try to be a hero, but you hold the hand you've got and you run according to the training schedule. And you've got to know when to fold them. So this is a gray zone. You don't feel good, but you're not falling apart either. So maybe your resting heart rate is slightly up or your HRV is dipped a little bit, but your sleep is okay, maybe a little rough. So something is up. In this case, you fold. You don't bail entirely, but you don't run the plan as written either. So you shorten your run, you slow it down, or you swap intensity for easy miles. This is where I landed. So instead of the 6 miles, the hill sprints, and the strength, I backed off and I only did a 4-mile run at 60% of my max heart rate. And actually I did the very same thing the next day instead of an 8-miler. I didn't do any strength, I didn't do any pushing, just movement, and enough to keep my blood flowing without adding stress upon the stress that I was feeling in my head. So then you need to know when to walk away. Now, walking away is when you are genuinely sick. So this is when you have low energy that isn't just fatigue. You may have congestion or body aches, and your metrics are starting to shift in a noticeable way. Your resting heart rate goes up, your HRV goes down. That is when you skip your workout. Not because you're weak, but because you're smart. And you need to protect the next weeks in your training plan, not sacrifice them for one workout. And finally, you got to know when to run, as in don't run or run away from your scheduled training. You should stop and take time off of training whenever you have a fever, any type of chest symptoms, dizziness, or actual pain, not soreness, but pain, anything that feels significantly wrong. And yes, this means COVID too. Now, I'm not a medical professional, but numerous credible medical sources have been very consistent on this. COVID can affect the heart, and pushing through hard or long workouts when you're actively infected can increase the risk of serious and potentially even lifelong complications. So this is not a time to be tough. It is not time to go above and beyond or to even try. You just quit. And this is knowing when to run away from your training. And I want to just make one last point here. Whether you fold and adjust your workout or walk and skip workouts altogether, you do not go back and double up or make up the runs that you've missed by adding them somewhere else. As runners, we move forward, not backward. Adding to your plan because you missed days only creates more stress and digs a brand new hole, whereas just skipping a few of them won't impact you at all. as long as your training was consistent before and after you missed the workouts. You won't lose any fitness missing 1, 2, or even 3 workouts, I promise. And the only exception to this is if you had significant illness that weakened your body in some way, or you missed a week or more of training. But that requires a video of its own. So, as far as what happened to me and my collision with the bus, by pulling back, fueling like an adult, hydrating like it was my job, and sleeping like a champ, I kept my congestion from settling deeper, and it mostly cleared up within a couple of days. My metrics remained stable, and I didn't make things worse, which was ultimately the goal. And today I am back on it and did my 8-mile run, so all was good there. And that is what playing the long game looks like. So the next time that you are feeling a little off and staring at your training plan, check in with your body and just remember Kenny Rogers. You know you've got to hold when things are okay, stick with the plan, fold when you need to, pull back, walk away when your body asks for it, and run, as in don't run, when red flags show up. Because the goal isn't to get through 1 or 2 workouts. It is to get to the start line healthy, trained, and ready. And if you liked my singing, or literally anything else in this video, hit subscribe and follow along as I document my journey to a sub-4 marathon in May. Now I'll see you next week.